This is Amanda Klimaszewski. I'm reporting for Unit 4 in Weather and Climate of Alaska 101 at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. My weather observation station was Murphy Dome Road, which is located in the Goldstream Valley. The dates of my observations were the 10th through the 14th of September. My average time of taking the observations were 9:30 p.m. However, Friday the 14th, I did take my observation at 5:30 a.m. And the NWS site that I used was the Fairbanks International Airport. Shown in this graph here, you can see the comparison of my observations versus the Fairbanks observations that they recorded for the current temperature as well as the pressure recorded. For the 10th at 9:30 p.m., my left probe read 48 degrees Fahrenheit, my right probe read 47 degrees Fahrenheit. I had a pressure of 1007. My wind was a level of 1 in the south direction. There were barely any clouds covering that night, and the clouds that were there were light in color and were fluffy. The airport read 45 degrees Fahrenheit and had a pressure of 1014. For the 11th of September at 9:30 p.m., I had a left probe reading 45 degrees Fahrenheit. My right read 44 degrees Fahrenheit with a pressure of 1000. The wind was a level 3 and it was facing west. The clouds was probably covering about 1/4 to a half of the sky. They were mid-gray and streaky. The airport read 49 degrees Fahrenheit and had a pressure of 1009. On the 12th of September at 9:30 p.m., I had a left probe reading 50 degrees Fahrenheit and 49 degrees Fahrenheit on the right one, with a pressure of 1001, again with a wind speed of 3 facing northwest. There were no clouds covering that night. It was actually a really beautiful night. The airport read 51 degrees Fahrenheit and had a pressure of 1006. On the 13th of September at 9:30 p.m., my left probe read 47 degrees Fahrenheit, my right one read 46 degrees Fahrenheit. I had a pressure of 992. The wind was a level 1 facing south. The clouds covering the sky were a lot more than they had been for the rest of the week. It was about half covering, and they were dark in color and streaky. The airport read 45 degrees Fahrenheit with a pressure of 1008 at this time. The 14th of September at 5:30 in the morning, my left probe read 35 degrees Fahrenheit. My right probe read 34 degrees Fahrenheit. I had a pressure of 990 with a wind speed of 1 facing east. The clouds that morning were all dark. There was a little bit of precipitation. I could tell that it was going to rain and it wasn't going to be a very nice day out. The airport read 34 degrees Fahrenheit and had a pressure of 1008 at this time. My max temperature for the 10th of September read 60 degrees Fahrenheit on the left probe, 59 degrees Fahrenheit on the right probe, with a minimum of 49 degrees Fahrenheit on the left probe and a minimum of 44 degrees Fahrenheit on the right probe. For the 11th, my max temperature was 57 degrees on the left probe, 56 degrees on the right probe, with a minimum of 44 degrees Fahrenheit on the left probe and 43 degrees Fahrenheit on the right probe. For the 12th of September, my max temperature was 59 degrees Fahrenheit for the left probe, 58 degrees Fahrenheit for the right probe, with a minimum of 46 degrees Fahrenheit for the left probe and 44 degrees Fahrenheit for the right probe. On the 13th of September, my max temperature read 62 degrees Fahrenheit for the left probe, 61 degrees Fahrenheit for the right probe, with a minimum of 41 degrees Fahrenheit for the left probe and 40 degrees for the right probe. On the 14th of September, my max read 41 degrees Fahrenheit for the left probe and 40 degrees Fahrenheit for the right probe, with a minimum of 34 degrees Fahrenheit for the left probe and 33 degrees Fahrenheit for the right probe. There was nothing out of ordinary this week. I figured for the weather and the temperatures that were occurring for September, it was a fairly nice week. Up until Thursday and Friday, we actually had really good weather, hardly any clouds, no rain. The weather at my house is really nice, clear skies for most of the time, so it was actually pretty nice weather considering the time of the year that it is. Here you can see the barometric pressure. My pressure followed somewhat of the same trend as the NWS station. However, the pressures that I recorded were a lot less. I'm not sure if that's because I'm at a higher elevation than what the airport shows, but I am happy to see that it at least followed the same downward trend that the airport had, just at a lower pressure amount. I did find it surprising though how fast the pressure dropped from the 12th through the 14th. It was a huge drop. I'm not sure what caused it. It didn't really drop that much for the NWS site at that point. It didn't drop really until looks like the 16th is when it started dropping for the airport. So although it did follow the same downward trend as the airport, mine occurred a lot quicker and a lot more rapidly. So this is the weather map that was recorded for September the 10th. I'm located in Fairbanks, Alaska, which is in the interior. It's right about here. It's just below the Yukon River. You can tell here that the main areas surrounding Alaska and Fairbanks were low pressure systems right over here, down here near the Aleutian Chains, and on the Gulf of Alaska. Also in Canada, there was one that was coming in, pushing it towards Fairbanks, but just barely covering it. As temperatures are starting to drop, you can see over here to the east of Alaska, just in Canada, there was some snow. And also in some of these low pressure areas around the Aleutian Chains and to the west of Alaska, you can see that there was some rain and fog mixed in the low pressure systems where the clouds are. This map is from September 11th. As you can see, there's a lot more going on in this map than the previous one as far as weather goes for this day. Looks like there's a trough over here around Fairbanks, which is why I probably kept it mainly cloud-free, which I expected to see because that day I remember being pretty cloud-free for the most part. You have some high pressure systems over here to the southeast of Alaska, another one to the southwest of Alaska, but nothing really immediately around Alaska moving. There's the closest one is a low pressure system here by the Aleutian Chain. Nothing too much going on weather-wise. There's a little bit of fog up here and drizzle around Barrow, a little bit north of Barrow. Some more fog down here around the Aleutian Chains, and then some fog around the Gulf of Alaska. This map here shows Wednesday, September 12th. It looks pretty similar to the last map that we showed, except for that there are low pressure systems around Alaska. One right here to the east of Alaska, closest to Fairbanks actually. It's pretty straight across east from Alaska. One down here near Anchorage, and then one over, actually pretty far away on the left side of Alaska. There's some fog down here along the Aleutian Chains. Also some fog north of Alaska here on the coast. And then just some showers down here on the southwest side of Alaska. Some fog down here also around Anchorage area, which is pretty normal to see around this time of year. As you can see here, there's a break in the clouds right around where Fairbanks is, a little bit covering Fairbanks, which I could expect to see. Wednesday was a pretty clear day though, all in all, so it's not too unusual to see that there really aren't many cloud coverings over here around Fairbanks area. This map here shows September 13th, which is the Thursday. It's a lot more cloudy than what the other previous days were showing, which I was expecting to see, because if I do recall correctly, that Thursday started becoming more cloudy. That's when I started seeing the normal weather that I was expecting to see in September. There's a low pressure system to the east of Anchorage down there on the coast. A lot of fog, some showers down here on the southwest part of Alaska near the Aleutian Chains, some fog on the Aleutian Chains right over here. This is the map showing Friday the September 14th. As you can see, there's pretty much all clouds covering Alaska. There's a couple breaks here along the coast and over here on the east side, right on the border of Canada. There's a high pressure system here north of Fairbanks on the northern coast of Alaska, and a low pressure system down here to the southwest side of Alaska along the Aleutian Chains. Mainly fog and rain covering the state, a lot of rain, a little bit of fog here just below Fairbanks area it looks like, and a little bit of snow. I expected to see this because of how cold it was that day. It started really cooling down, really became cloudy, it really started feeling like September. Also you can see there's some snow here north of Alaska, here on the northern west coast of Alaska, which is pretty typical, especially this time of year. All in all, I felt like these maps are a pretty good depiction of the weather that I viewed during the week, especially this one here on Friday. really showed how the weather was. It pretty much was like that when I woke up, really overcast, cloudy, cold, rainy, and it looks like it was like that for most of the state. Like I said, barely any clear spots showing at all for this Friday. All in all, Unit 4 was a good extension of Unit 3 and actually doing some more with the weather, seeing how it relates to the maps and the different weather systems that we have, low pressure systems, cloud types, weather. It was nice to see the differences between what I observed at my house and what the international airport had observed. I was a little bit surprised to see that my temperatures on average were lower than that depicted for the Fairbanks International Airport, because for the most part, especially in the wintertime, theirs is a lot colder from where I am because I'm in higher altitude. I'm up in the hills, so most of the time it's warmer. So I was a little bit surprised to see that my temperatures were actually cooler this time of year, but maybe that'll change in the wintertime as the seasons change. So thank you for everything, and hopefully this went smoother than the last time. I felt like the screencast went a little bit smoother.